Hi everybody, this is Anne. The butter dish is a classic design among potters who make functional ware. The shape of the butter, how you'll use it, and where you store it are all considerations that can lead a potter to determine the final size and shape they want to make. In this video, I measured my rectangular sticks of butter and designed an elegant form in which to store and serve it. I've devised an easy way to construct it. Let me show you how. Here are the templates for the dish I created. The link is available to you for free in the description section below this video. I started by wiring off a slab of clay. My clay is pretty stiff. If you have very soft clay that has trouble holding its shape, you can cut out your template pieces but let the clay dry to leather hard before assembling. I usually roll out my clay with a rolling pin, but I received a very generous donation of a portable slab roller from a friend of mine that I'm dying to try out. To adjust the slab width, I pulled the handles down, positioned the roller to the desired height, then pushed the handles back upward. I pulled out the wire racks from either side. A wooden board came with it. I just slid that under the roller. It also came with 2 layers of canvas. I just slid those under the roller as well. To use it, I placed the slab between the 2 pieces of canvas and turned the crank all the way through and back. It sure was a lot faster than the rolling pins. To erase the canvas texture, I used a dampened rubber rib over the front and back of the slab. Now I just need to cut out my template pieces. I needed 4 of the rectangular shapes, 2 of the shorter side panel pieces, 2 of the overside pieces, and 1 front strip. Remember, if your clay is too soft and pliable, you need to let them dry out a little to stiffen up for the project to succeed. Now I'm taking away these last 3 pieces for now. I'll use them in a while. I'm using this bevel cutter to angle all the sides of the 6 templates. You simply hold the tool flat to the table next to the edge and pull it. Don't forget to save all the cuttings. I'm going to use those later. Next, I scored all the beveled sides with my scoring tool. Now I can assemble. I'll do this on a banding wheel, and to widen my work surface, I placed a bat on top of that. To keep the piece from sticking, I placed a piece of plastic wrap down on the bat. I put the first long rectangular piece down and slipped the side edge. I firmly attached the side piece, making sure I had a really good attachment. Here's where the cuttings come in handy. I pulled out the smaller one and worked it into the seam to seal the 2 pieces together. Again, I slipped the adjoining side and fit the next long rectangle into place, making sure that all the edges and corners lined up. This time, I picked out one of the long clippings and sealed the seam. It should fit perfectly in place. I fit another short clipping along that inner edge. I continued working my way around that bottom base, slipping, sealing, and working the edges nice and crisp until I had it all encased by walls. I needed to enclose the entire rectangle. I turned the piece on its side. Now I can assemble the last template piece without fear of gravity slumping. I sealed all the outer seams and used the red rib to make the corners nice and crisp. It's a good idea to use a ruler and make sure all your lines are straight and even. Next, I needed to cut my box in two. I created a template to show me where to cut. I placed the first side against the shorter side, the long strip part against the front, and continuing to the other short side. I used a pencil to mark along the template edge. I used a ruler along the back to connect the two short edge marks. I cut along my marks with a sharp-edged tool. Now I can remove the top of the box. There were several edges that I couldn't seal up, so I quickly took care of that using more clippings. I cleaned up all the edges with a damp sponge and my fingers. I placed the lid back down over the bottom part just to make sure they fit well. I always worry when I cut something in half that those edges will warp or move out of place when they're fired, because cutting them leaves unsupported flat edges, especially along that back top area. To help give that top edge on the lid support, I rolled a coil and thinned it down to a triangular shape and cut it to fit before attaching it in place. I ended up cutting it a little shorter in the end to eliminate extra bulk. Now it's time to build an outer shell around the bottom part of the box. I'm using the last 3 templates to do it. I first put the 2 side sections and the front strip in place to make sure it all still fits. The side pieces should be taller than the box sides, but still fit flush together with the back of the box and the front strip. If they don't fit, readjust and recheck your side measurements before going forward. I scored the side pieces where they'll meet. I slipped the front strip first and attached it. I attached the first side piece, making sure the edges matched up correctly and being sure to seal the seam between the inner side and the outer side. I repeated this with the other side piece. I used a wet paintbrush to strengthen the seal on the inner seam area on all 3 sides. Those outer panels will come up over the inner box lid, securing those remaining 3 cut edges, helping them not to move during firing. I made sure the edges along the back side were also flush and sealed. I want to replace the lid. I tore strips of paper towel and placed them along the edges. That way, the 2 parts can dry together without sticking together. Make sure the edges fit where they need to. It should fit pretty flush. I still need a lid pull. I rolled a ball of clay. I placed it on a piece of plastic wrap in a round measuring spoon. I pressed it down well, placed the plastic wrap over the top, then turned it over on the table and spun it to remove the excess clay. Now I only have to clean off the edges. I rolled out a thick coil for the stem. I created a dent along the middle of the bottom flat part of the pull. I attached the stem to the inside of the dent of the pull. I found the center of the box top and attached the pull. Now here's a variation of the design where I rounded that squared off edge of my template and reformed a long curved edge of my rectangular box for this look. My clay shrinks almost 15%, so if you're making this at home, keep in mind that you may need to adjust the templates based on your clay's shrinkage rate to fit your butter sticks. Now here's one that I finished. To glaze it, I purposely left all the bottom and side edges that were touching another surface unglazed. I wiped them down several times to make sure they were clean. Now here's the final piece that fits my butter. I drew the illustrations and underglazed it when it was bone dry. I bisque fired it to cone 04. I strategically glazed around all the imagery and any surface that was not touching another surface with my white liner glaze that matched my white clay. I glazed Amico Weeping Plum Celadon over my Amico Bright Red underglazed border. Now I can keep the butter in the refrigerator or out, and the decorative dish is perfect for displaying at a nice dinner party. Thanks to the newest members of our Little Street Pottery Research Facility team. If you'd like to join the team and earn a title, click on the Super Thanks button or the link to buy me a coffee. It also really helps us out if you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. See you next time in the studio.